So right now, I'm in my room in a small town northeast of Berlin, where I am co-facilitating with Rachel Rickard's Module 5 of this year's Field Facilitator Training. It's been quite a delight so far to be with the 40 participants to kind of land the plane, if you like. This is the final piece of a year-long training. And I was part of their first module and their third module at New Eden. And now we are in circle and bringing the final pieces to their to the transmission and to the training. So I'm in the middle of it, and this feels really, really rich. I'm also aware that I put out a social media post a week or two ago where you could ask me a question, and we had a few questions, and I thought, oh, why don't I try on to answer a few of them? These questions were pretty well. I'll start with the first one, which seems super easy. I think somebody asked like what my favorite ice cream flavor was. I like easy, so let's start with the easy one. I don't actually eat ice cream, and it might sound a bit strange. I'm not really good at digesting dairy, so I have a bit of a problem with it. If I didn't, I like Magnums, the combination of a crunchy, peanut, buttery, and chocolate flavor. I love the combination of chocolate and peanut butter. There's something quite delightful about that. It's usually found more in the US than in Europe. So it's one of the things that I kind of miss about being in the US more is experiencing the peanut butter and chocolate combination. What was another question? Something about how to really claim and be in the fullness of who we are when there is trauma present. Just for everybody to be on the same page, when I talk about trauma, it's similar to, say, how Gabor Mate would define it, where there is latent or undigested charge from an event or an experience or a period of life that may have been repeating, where we have not fully been able to move and release and connect to these parts. So they hold almost like an echo or a residue or, like I said, a remnant charge. When we enter into a relationship or a moment in life and something might be difficult, too much, too fast, too soon, it can stimulate that charge and resurface that trigger. And the trigger is then heightened and overly sensitized and becomes bigger because of what's already present. So remember, trauma is what's already inside of you. And it is the response of not just what happened to you, but what happens inside of you in response to what happened to you. So it's really, how are we managing these things that happen to us that were often too fast, too much, too soon. And because they were too much, too soon, too fast, they're stored in our body for later until we regulate and we feel safe enough to kind of go back. Not so much in our mind, but the body wisdom naturally will surface and bring things up when it's safe enough to do so. Everybody has trauma. Usually trauma is in two categories, little t or big T. The little t are the violations and neglects that don't necessarily derail us completely. These are things that happen all the time. They're part of our lives. Every human has them. They could be small in the terms of like maybe a moment of unattunement from our caregivers or parents, times when we weren't really deeply felt, honored, heard, seen, got. Big T is, maybe war, genocide, sexual abuse, rape. I'm not minimizing by only mentioning a few. There's a lot, but I'm just talking about, you get a sense that it's big, right? I work personally in Circle with and in Hard IQ with both big T and little t traumas. There's also a thing called group trauma, where we are injured because of a group dynamic, maybe at school, maybe in family, which is why I love group work, because in order to heal group trauma, you need a group. Just like if you want to heal relational trauma or attachment injury, you need a relationship, you need attachment. So we often need the very flavors of the things that injured us, or at least the container or the frame. We can't, in other words, do it on our own. So I'm saying all of that to prelude or, to answer this question, because trauma does diminish range. It does mean that we cannot fully access our full aliveness and our full emotional energetic capacity and full spectrum of how life force and love wants to move and how consciousness wants to move through our being and our body. So that's really the definition of trauma, is diminished range over the long term due to things that have happened in our past. Therefore, I don't see it as how do I live my fullest self, because I'm always on a path of growth like this. I'm doing the best that I can to open more to myself. And the way I meet trauma is not by push, but by encouraging slowing down. If trauma happens because things happen too fast, too much, too soon, the opposite of that would be to slow down and to go into slow motion, to come into rest, to prioritize things that put my nervous system into parasympathetic dominance, to not push and strive in the way that is coming from needing to do in order to get value, but to rest in beingness. And to realize that as I drop more and more into safety, as I prioritize that, more and more becomes available to me. And I think that's different to how things were in the past, in terms of the personal development, which was more about pushing to the edge, go beyond your comfort zone, change your beliefs, reframe your mind, where it's now more about nervous system, polyvagal theory, dropping into regulation, parasympathetic dominance, doing the things that help us come into deep rest. This is what I feel is the practice. That's what needs to happen in life. And then when we do that, more comes online and we become more available and more aspects of ourselves naturally. We don't need to necessarily expand into our full range by going into our full range. Sometimes we just need to drop in and feel safe. So I think that's how we live with trauma, is to accept it and love what is and welcome it and be aware that it ain't going anywhere. There's often this fallacy or this thought that as soon as I meet it and do my therapy and I kind of heal it, it's done and it's gone, and like I don't have trauma anymore. Trauma is not something in the body that disappears and the aim is to get rid of it. Our trauma is in fact holding keys and gifts and gold that develop into our superpowers once we learn how to turn our pain into purpose, our wounding into art. So I wouldn't be so quick to try to get rid of that which can actually serve your life path and purpose. The charge begins to become less, but the remnant, the echo, the wisdom of that trauma can be transmuted. We always have it potentially as an Achilles heel, though. It may still present as it's like a weak spot or a potential trigger. We might manage it better. We might develop better resources to stay away from the trigger zone and stay more regulated. But those of us who've got more trauma just have to do a little bit more work to stay safe in our nervous system. Cool. That's a good question. I think there was also another question about, for me to name, like, what is a miracle in my life? When can I recall where all the forces were aligned to me and with me? I love this question too. I used to have this, I still do. I put it in storage. I took a picture of it, of all the pages. But I have this diary called the Weird Events Diary. And I would take note of all these special moments when it felt like source and spirit, my heart and life and others were coming together in like divine synchronicity. And I was always so taken aback by the magic of life, and I still am. But I started to write, and it's the only time I've ever journaled. And this was when I first started the path. So 21 years ago, when I was starting to facilitate, that was where I would say the height of the magic was, but it wasn't because of that time. It was just so new to me. I think what's happened is like, it's become kind of normal. I don't take it for granted, but life is pretty magical. Every time I sit in circle and I see what magic happens when people come together in unity, in love, in consciousness, in mutual longing to grow and to expand and to heal in tribe, I am deeply touched in ways that are profound. And I'm consistently surrounded by magic. The people I meet, the relationships I form, the work that I get to do for my living, it's just, it's a dream. However, I think the thing that still blows my mind is the miracle of being so deeply met by a brother who supported financially in a time of the final hour, really, where New Eden, the retreat center where I do my work and which we've been blessed to steward since 2015. We were in financial catastrophe, really, and we were about to foreclose to massive debt and to massive contraction in our personal lives. And I remember the day when I had a referral from a member of the community who said, "Hey, I think this brother could help. He's really in his heart, and he's already been supporting other retreat centers here in the Netherlands." And I was like, wow, okay. So I had a meeting with him and felt this instant connection, and not like an investor or anything where the primary thing was all about money. It was just about connection and energetics and doing good in the world. And we only had 1 hour or so, and he was like a full yes to supporting. And in deep trust, he offered a loan of $2.4 million US, and with very little need for like scrutiny, lawyers, contracts. And it was just this divine coming together of trust and brotherhood. And it just blew my heart wide open. I just didn't believe it. I was just like in awe that existed. And to this day, I'm grateful, because we just wouldn't be able to do what we're doing at New Eden and what it's been able to create for people, the experiences, it's just been, what New Eden is a miracle, but it was only possible because of the miracle of support that came out of yeah, I don't know how to describe it. It was just amazing. So I learned a lot from that. And it was just, I remember the moment that funding came in and I was just like, oh my God, it actually happened. It was like a part of me didn't even believe that it was actually going to happen. You know, there's somebody saying yes, and then there's somebody sending $2.4 million to your bank account. It's just one of those incredible things that is just like, yeah, life changing. So we're able to, to take care of this baby. And of course, it's not a gift. It's a loan. It's something we need to work diligently to meeting responsibilities to ensure that we take care of this gift or this support. But it gave us that chance to live my dream and to build something that is still to this day serving every single life who is attending or coming to a retreat at New Eden. So yeah, really, really cool. I think there was one more question that came in about identity and how my life is changing over these couple of years. Like, what am I identifying with? And how, as I'm getting older and kind of moving through my life, what new things are kind of growing in me and developing in me and opening in me, and where is my identity being formed now compared to where it has been? This question around identity, and does it change really, and what's coming online now in terms of my being. So as somebody who's prioritized consciousness in the world where I'm wanting to grow and evolve, what has been developed over the path of my past, but also what's coming online in these coming years? What am I sensing as the upgrade maybe, or the new parts that I'm prioritizing? When I started my journey 20 years ago, I was far more heady. So my work and the work that I've done on myself and in Tribe and in Hard AQ and in Circle has brought me into more integrated embodied presence. And for that, it has been worth it because I now feel more. And the experience of being in touch emotionally and feeling my power, my fire, my grief, and my capacity to surrender and have rich, deep relationships. And that impacts every area of my life, my sexuality, my intellectuality, my capacity to just be in awe at this most simplest of things, walking in nature. And like I shared earlier in another question, this ability to slow down has allowed me to transform my being, one from where I'm pushing to one where I'm being. I used to push a lot, and that created a lot of burnout and health issues. I think that's what's toxic, actually, is the part of us that pushes, that always needs to do in order to get approval or validation or to be. And like there's something I need to do to just be worthy to exist. That has relaxed. So I'm working less, even though for some people it might feel like, shit, he's still doing a lot. For me, it feels less than I used to. I'm not doing launch after launch after launch and video after video after video and push and retreat after retreat after retreat. I still do a lot, but I wouldn't say it's a third of what I used to do. And I actually want to continue that. I actually want to work less, but create more time for things that I put on hold: adventure, travel, being a father, being a husband, having a home, living in community, developing a school or something. I don't know, like I'd love to volunteer in a third world country and not have to worry about my business at home, finances, and just feel the gift of giving back in a way that is really nourishing to my soul and doing more things like that. So I feel that coming, all those areas. It's almost like some people, they develop their family life first, and then maybe their career fits in or comes later. But for me, I've been so in my devotion to mastering my art as a circle facilitator in Hard AQ that I think I've pushed other parts of my life to one side: hobbies, interests, relationships, and children and stuff like that. And I'm looking forward to having that experience in my next chapter and bringing the consciousness and the love and what I've developed as skills into those areas. So that's it for me right now. I know there are more questions, but those are the ones I can remember right now. I'll do another video for the other stuff. All right. Well, I hope you got some value and enjoyed that. Thanks for posting those questions, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care, guys.